Alright, this is a beautiful mushroom. This is Chanterelle, and it's a wonderful thing to hunt for this time of year. We've received a lot of rain, and since I found the biggest one so far, I think it's appropriate to discuss the mushroom in general, because if you research about this mushroom, you'll find conflicting ideas. I've seen more conflicting concepts when it comes to other species. Mostly people agree on the same things internet-wide, but still, for the few things that people do have conflicting ideas on, I think it's important to address nonetheless, because it's important to properly identify this mushroom before you pick it, because it does have a slight look-alike called jack-o'-lantern that grows here in Florida and other places in the US. And yeah, it also grows in Britain, if I'm not mistaken. So that's also something you have to worry about over there. A lot of people say that these will not grow in clusters, and yes, this one is growing individually, and that is more commonly seen for them to grow individually like this, but they can grow in clusters. And even some people who admit they grow in clusters say, oh, you'll never find them in clusters up to 5 or something like that. This is totally nonsense. They can grow in clusters of over 5, though it's pretty rare. So they can grow in clusters. The thing you have to look for, the two keys you have to look for, is that they don't have true gills. They fork toward the end, and they're relatively shallow. You can easily break them apart. And jack-o'-lanterns have true gills. They will run normally, they won't fork toward the end of the cap like this. And yeah, jack-o'-lanterns will also not be white on the inside. I'll show you the inside of this. It's just a gorgeous mushroom. You'll already see hints of white, already running down this. It's nice to find one of this size that is so perfect. Now, chanterelle is less prone to infestation than oysters are, but it's still possible. And if you break it open, you'll see the white inside, like that. With jack-o'-lantern, you will not get that. You'll get orange. And another thing with jack-o'-lantern is they're a bit different in hue. With chanterelles, most of the time, you'll get a yellowish gold with hints of white and some hints of orange. This isn't overwhelmingly orange to my eye, nor are most chanterelles that I find. Now, there are different varieties of chanterelles. There are some that are deep red that are actually edible here in Florida, and there are those that are black. I can't remember the names of the red ones. Cinnabarum, something like that. I honestly can't remember. But there is a deep red chanterelle that grows here in Florida that is perfectly edible. I don't know how it tastes as compared to these traditional chanterelles, but yeah. To me, chanterelles have always been pretty distinct. You can see how big this one is compared to the other ones I've foraged so far. To me, they've always been pretty distinct, but I can understand the caution that people have in regards to approaching what might be jack-o'-lanterns. But to me, I always know what they are right away. And it's a plus that jack-o'-lanterns typically don't grow in this forest. I've never seen jack-o'-lanterns grow here. But every year we get chanterelles, and this is probably the biggest I've seen. I know you might find that hard to believe because it's not ginormous. They can get far bigger than this, but in my experience, that's the biggest. Jack-o'-lanterns, if you happen to mistakenly eat one, will not normally kill you, but you will wish that you were dead, because this can involve a lot of diarrhea, tons of vomiting, and dry heaving if you mistakenly eat a jack-o'-lantern. And any amounts, really. I'm sure if you eat enough of it, the toxins will be so dense within you that it could kill you. But most of the cases that I read, the person made it out alive, but with up to 2 weeks of being symptomatic, and the symptoms are again nightmarish. But anyways, again, we've been talking about chanterelles, and I got about as many as I did the last forage right here, and they are delicious. I typically eat them with goat cheese, and I ate some oyster mushrooms with goat cheese this morning. So I'm having mushrooms for breakfast, mushrooms for lunch, and it's totally free of cost.